It's been one of those weekends. It's been one of those things. And we've got 14 more days until Thanksgiving break.
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Here's today.
Thanksgiving break.
Oh God.
So
I'm not ready.
we're getting there. We're getting there. You got a ways to go on that one.
Are you going to SpongeBob this week or next week?
We're doing the matinee. So next weekend.
I'm excited. My friends are going to be coming to the one on Friday next week.
Nice.
So that's gonna be nice.
All right, let's do bell work. Boop. We're just updating our date. They're right here.
This thing.
Boop.
But I have to listen to it on The Great Gatsby on YouTube because I'm broke and I don't have Spotify Premium.
Yeah.
And so if I want to listen to it in order, I have to do it on YouTube. But the thing is, the school Wi-Fi blocks like.
If it's not educational.
Yeah, like almost half of the videos on YouTube. And it's like
They trying to keep you safe.
keep us safe in quotation marks.
Okay. All right. On this bell work, this is stuff from last week. So on this first one, what are we gonna do? I was gonna say, and don't say cry. Yeah, we're gonna split this up. So we have some -1 separated from our I. So we've got here our square root of -3. I can make that be -1 times 3. 3 doesn't really split up any further. How about the 27? How can we split that up? -1.
Times 3 times, I forgot what, 9. My brain forgot.
Yeah. So I didn't change anything except how it looks. -1 times 3 is the same thing as -3. -1 times 3 times 9 is the exact same thing as -27. So when we simplify this, I've got a square root of -1, that's I. This guy is also a square root of -1, so this guy is also I. I've got my square root of 3, he can't really go anywhere.
Squared because there's 2.
Ooh, but I've got a whole nother square root of 3, so we can either put it here like this, square root of 3, square root of 9, or we can realize that that is indeed a square root of 3 times the square root of 3, which means I have square root of 3 squared, along with an I squared, and our square root of 9. So what is our square root of 9?
3.
3. What is the square root of 3 squared? 3. And what is I squared?
-1.
-1. So what do we wind up with here?
-9.
-9 as an answer. And there's definitely a shorter path of writing this. You do not have to have this many steps when writing it. I was just kind of following the way our brains were going. How about the right-hand one? What are we going to do over here? Multiply. Do you want to box it or you want to distribute it? Distribute. We've got 4 times 2. 8. 4 times 6i. What's up? What's up?
Did I is negative, so
It's think of it as minus I or minus 1i.
the I is negative. My brain is negative.
That's okay. Treat it just like it was an x. If it was a minus x, what would you do? So minus I times 2, minus 2i. Minus I times 6i, we get minus 6i squared. We'll start with our combining like terms. I've got my 24i and my minus 2i. So we've got 8 plus 22i. And then our I squared, we know what that is. That's our negative 1. So this is minus 6 times negative 1. Minus 6 times negative 1 is just plus 6. We have 8 plus 22i plus 6, which gives us
14 plus 22i.
14 plus 22i. Okay, questions on these two? I know it's been several days since we mathed. Okay, today we're going to work a little bit more with our solving stuff and finding solutions that have i's in them.
Why did we add our six?
What's up?
Why did we add our six?
Because we wound up with minus 6 times minus 1, which became plus 6.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. No, good. I was like, ask the questions, because if no one asks, I don't know where we lost track of what I said, and they're entirely high probabilities that I skip words when I talk sometimes.
I have a single lyric from Legally Blonde stuck in my head and I can't get it out.
Which one?
Oh my god, you guys.
That was what I was gonna guess it was gonna be. All right. So we're gonna work a little bit more with our solving stuff just to kind of practice this and remind ourselves again. We'll get a couple that are a little bit more challenging than we've had before, but for the most part, what we're doing today is very similar to what we did on Thursday and Friday. Not a huge amount of difference here. So we're looking for our solutions here, being told to solve. When we're solving, that's when we're looking for our solutions, our roots, our zeros, our x-intercepts. And I gave us a couple of, hopefully, easy ones to start with. Before we get into some that are a little hard. What's up? Yeah? I was like, technically, y'all don't have assigned seats. I just marked out where y'all can sit. Nobody can move all the way. All right. So our first one we're going to do is over here. We've got x squared equals 9. And I want you to solve it. So what can I do to try and solve this and get to my x equals? Because that's our goal when we solve, is I want x equals something. What do I need to do here?
Put a square root.
Square root.
Said that.
Oh, well, you said it too quiet. I didn't hear you. I'm old. Gotta be loud. All right, so we want to do a square, a square root to both sides, because those things undo each other, just like adding and subtracting undo each other, multiplying and dividing undo each other, square roots and squares undo each other. So we're going to wind up with x equals what?
3.
Did I miss anything?
I don't like that base.
What else? 1 squared gives us 9.
-3.
-3 also works. Whenever we are in an equation, so if we have an equal sign and we do a square root on both sides, we have to include a plus or minus. Because it could be +3, it could be -3. That's what happens when we have those two solutions. We have two roots. So it's really important. We only do that when we're in equations. So if we're just looking at square roots like we had in the bell work, we're not using the plus or minus there. But when we're in equations and we've done a square root to both sides, that's when we have to use the plus or minus. All right, our next one we have is x squared plus 16 equals 0. Start with subtracting 16. So we're going to have our minus 16. Weird minus sign, that's okay. So we got our x squared equals 0 minus 16. That's negative 16. What do we do next? We're going to do our square root, so I need to get that x by itself. My square root and my perfect square cancel out. That's why we picked that. So we get x equals what? What is the square root of negative 16?
I 8 plus or minus. Did I say that right?
Almost.
Ugh.
So to split it up, I'm going to do this in a couple of steps just because we got a little stuck. I heard a lot of us catch that we are going to have a plus or minus up front. Then we have our minus 1 times 16. So our x is plus or minus. Square root of 16 is 4. And square root of negative 1 is I. You said 8. So plus or minus 4i. So even when we have imaginary roots, we're still going to include that plus or minus. What's up? Where'd I lose you? If you don't need to do that step, don't do it.
So if you could
Can you
just
do
make
it
it
without?
negative and positive 4?
It has to be I. We have to have the I.
It's negative 1. Because we included negative 1.
What about the other one? The other one you have to make it.
Because we didn't have a negative under our square root. It's the minus sign under the square root that gives us that I. So since I square root of negative 9, or since I square root of 9, we have a positive 3. And it could be 3 or negative 3. Since we're square rooting negative 16, it's imaginary. It's not real because it has a negative under the square root. Because even if I square negative 4, I'm not going to get a negative 16. Because that's negative 4 times negative 4. That's not squaring. So it's just when we have that negative 1. And I agree, they're annoying and weird. And mathematicians be doing too much sometimes. Kids' eyes a lot. And weird. But it's one of those things that comes up. So we're going to practice with this several more times. I think 3 or 4 more times. Solving things like this. There we go. A couple more.
L.
I know. They look a little grosser. It's not really that much different from what we did on the last one, though. Because what should we do first on this first one? Oop. Subtract 125 from both sides. So we're going to have our 5x squared equals negative 125. Then what can we do? Divide by 5. Let's get our x squared by itself first. So then I have my x squared equals what? What is negative 125 divided by 5?
Negative 25.
Negative 25. And what do we do next?
Square root of 25, which is
Yep. We're going to do a square root to both sides. Yes. So we're going to have our x, because my square root and my square cancel out, equals, whenever I'm in an equation, we got to put our plus or minus.
forgot.
Yes, the square root of 25 gives me 5, and that square root of negative 1 gives me I. So you do not have to write out the step where you expand it outwards.
So we
I would definitely count this as 100% fully shown work. Totally fine. Questions on the first one? All right, then let's look at the right one. What is going to be our first step over here? Subtract our 24.
I never like this one.
It's okay, you don't have to like it. 4x squared equals negative 24. Then what? Divide everything by 4. We get that x squared equals what? Negative 6. Square root.
Would it be I square root of 6?
Yes, missing one tiny piece.
Plus or minus?
Plus or minus I, because we have that negative. Does square root of 6 simplify at all? Nope. 2 and 3 are my only factors, and neither one of them is perfect square.
So these with the I in the front.
Yeah, that's
Yes. Because if we put it behind,
It makes
And
it seem like you still.
it could be under the radical, and that makes your life so much ickier when we have to deal with other things. It can happen, but it's really hard to tell, and it's really easy to lose track if my radical ends in front of the I or behind the I, and if the I is inside the radical, it makes everything so gross.
So we get a point off.
So, letters in front. And in fact, we should put numbers in front too, because it's the same thing. If it was 6 times 2, do we mean to have 12 under the radical, or do we mean to have square root of 6 times 2? If the things are after the radical, it's really hard to tell what is inside and what is outside. So radicals are last.
We get points off. Yeah, do it backwards.
Probably like a half point, like not usually a whole point, but especially if it's really difficult for me to read and I'm gonna have to stare at it for a few minutes. Yeah. So radicals should be the very last thing in your statement. Okay. One a little bit grosser.
Oh God. Yeah.
Ew.
School's 10.
Ew. I promise you're overthinking it.
You finna lose your voice.
Huh?
You're finna lose your voice.
No, I think I'm just tired. I spent about half my weekend on Ticketmaster Click and Refresh.
For that Lady Gaga concert?
No, Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, because you just assume shake
Taylor
it.
Swift. I still have. I was like, I didn't change the Taylor Swift nails yet.
Shake
So.
it.
It's all the albums.
I'm a Swiftie.
In order.
That's what they said.
Yeah, I still have my Taylor Swift nails. I didn't change them yet because I'm not changing them for 1 week. Mm-mm.
What
So
are
you
you
went to
doing?
the
Why
Taylor
1
Swift-
week?
No, because it's not good for your nails to change them that frequently.
So you
And
went to go
it-
see Taylor Swift?
No, I did not. But I did spend 3.5 hours in line to buy merch for a concert I did not get tickets for.
Felt.
You should go to the Raw Wave.
It's
Go to the
canceled.
what?
They got one in Chicago.
Go to what? Go to what?
Raw
We gonna
Wave.
get shut up too.
Who?
I don't know what that is.
Raw Wave.
So why he just
I don't know who that
decides to
is.
come Here, so he just.
Everybody going to Chicago.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is.
She's so
Me
happy
neither.
to say it.
I was gonna say, as far as what I was hearing the Raw Wave, and I was thinking the Broadway Rave has a nickname because I've seen those on TikTok and I want to go to one so bad, but there's not any.
There's gonna be one in Indy.
When?
I have to.
It always winds up on something important that we're doing as a family. There's been one here before, but it was on my husband's actual birthday day.
I have to check again. I saw it on Instagram.
Okay.
I follow them.
I had one of
Me too. On TikTok though. Because I'm just barely figuring out Instagram.
That's when State.
I had to learn it for this weekend because things were happening places.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at this one. What the heck should we do here?
Divide the one side by 3.
No.
I mean, you could, but that's hard way. So we can add 6. I heard that one tossed up first, so let's add 6.
I did it.
You could. There are many, many, many pathways through it. You should probably wind up with the same answer as me. But actually, to divide that one side by 3, you would have to divide both sides by 3.
I minus that.
Unless you put it as like a GCF. So there's many pathways through. This is just the first one I heard. So I've got my 3x squared plus 36 equals an x squared.
I think that's 2x.
How can you?
I was like, we'd still have to divide both sides by 3 if we wanted to divide by 3.
See?
What should I get together next?
Can you combine like terms with x squared and
Be more specific. What do you mean?
wait, she did it that way. She took the 6 and put it on this side. And then she's gonna take it away again.
You can do this. There are
Okay,
so many numbers of ways.
Can you combine like terms with the x squared and the 3x squared?
More specific. They're on separate sides of an equal sign. So what do I need to do?
You have to subtract.
Subtract the x squared.
So then that becomes 2x.
So we get yes. So this is going to be 2x squared
Oh, I did it right. Oh,
plus
2x squared.
36 equals 0. I have a lot of people who wind up when we get into something step like this, just wind up moving this equal sign over here, and that's not what we can do. It equals 0 over here. So what do I need to do?
Minus 36.
Minus 36. 2x squared
Or you
equals negative 36.
now divide it back to.
And then we're into the same kind of path we've done before. Were there more efficient ways to get through the top part? Yeah, probably. But this is the way that y'all were shouting out, so this is the way we went. But you guys did a great job. You got exactly where we needed to be. Because what are we going to do next?
Well, but-
Divide by 2. Well, then you said it too quiet.
I just double checked. It's the 7th of December.
Yeah, that would be the weekend my sister comes into town for Christmas and my husband's birthday and my dad's birthday. We have about 5 birthdays in my immediate family in
It's
December.
not I-18. It's only,
In my dad's
it's
family,
only
it's,
I before it when it's the radical.
That, but for October. We have like 20 birthdays in October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're December and January.
I.
All right.
4, 5.
She said put the I in
What's up?
No, she
You guys
didn't.
have
She just.
semester finals in December.
Look,
Yep.
for the radical, if you only put the I in front when it's the radical, right? Oh, wait.
Yes, I is a square root of -1, so it is involved with the radical. We'll get there. Because what do we do next?
But she did it different.
Square.
Square root both sides.
She just square rooted her 18, not square rooted earlier.
The problem with square rooting earlier is 2 is not actually a perfect square. So you would have square root of 2 times x. So
Neither is 18.
neither's 18, but then we don't have to deal with multiplying or dividing with
So
square
would
root
it be
thingies.
x equals plus minus I square root 18? Nah.
It would
Yes,
be-
but then we're going to see if we can simplify it any more. So x equals plus or minus square root of -18. We've got I. And then-
3 times square root 2.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to bring this up just so we're not hanging out at the bottom of the screen again.
We have to do that.
Yes, you have to simplify your radicals. So simplifying that square root of 18, what's a perfect square that is a factor of 18?
Because it's in a radical, I didn't do my problem right. You
It's always the I.
know it's not.
You're fine, you're fine.
So when it's only I in front of the radical when it has a radical, but if it's like a regular number, it's gonna be 18I.
So we could have, like, I can be in front of a number, so like 18i.
Right.
I could also have -18, or I could have 18. Like, those are 3 different numbers. So the I only comes in when we have the square root of a negative number. So the I doesn't show up until we try and square root something negative.
So then this show is gonna start.
So then this piece here sometimes helps us spot our simplified radical form. So this should be, our final answer should be our x equals plus or minus, my square root of 9 is 3, and we have that I, and I have a leftover square root of 2. So it is an ugly, ugly answer. This is my answer. It is not pretty,
She simplified.
but it is correct.
I don't know, do we have to do it like that?
We have to simplify it. There are other ways to do the simplifying part.
So 3. So numbers go before i's and then radicals go after everything else?
Yes. Theoretically, I would 100% give you still full points if you put I3 square root of 2. Totally fine. It just makes my brain itch a little bit. Like it would be like saying x3 instead of 3x. Or the red big cat instead of the big red cat. Like it's fine. It's technically correct. It just slightly off. So it's to do I3 square root of 2, 3i square root of 2. It's the same kind of vibe as the red big cat and the big red cat. Not wrong. Just feels weird. I mean, it's not wrong, but it just feels wrong. So that's why I always put the numbers in front of the letters. I was gonna say there is an order for all those adjectives, but it's one of those things that we all know but cannot put into words.
Bro, like halfway through rehearsal on Saturday, my headset legit went out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it. We like tried fixing it, but it didn't work.
That is what tech is for, though.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was fun.
Always fun. Don't be like tech is so much fun.
That's how I got the job.
All right. Go. One last thing we need to talk about today.
Is it sleep?
It is in fact tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And of course, since we have e-learning tomorrow, they've changed something for us, which we love so much,
Yeah,
because we no longer are using Zoom.
Yeah, Miss Wilson told us that it's because when Mr. Heck went over to the IT department, he found out that we've been paying for Microsoft Teams this entire time.
Oh yeah.
So it's basically we got rid of Zoom and just decided to go to Microsoft Teams
Because we
because
already paid for it. Which I totally understand, but it is, once we get used to something, it is a little bit annoying to
are
have
we
to use
getting
something new.
homework today or no?
Not a new one.
Okay.
So tomorrow we have an e-learning day. So I'm just gonna go student view real quick. So on our Canvas page, you come over here to the Microsoft Teams classes. We don't use Zoom anymore. It's Microsoft Teams.
So what time does class at 11?
Yeah, it's from 8 to 11. I also have a button down here. If you go into, oh, that's the wrong button.
I got work.
I'm reading things from this side. In here, when you are logged in, it should link directly to your, I have to leave student view because it won't do it when I need. So on your Microsoft Teams, it'll probably ask you to sign in, and you sign in with your school account. Oh goodness. Called y'all in the first period of the day so I can sign into anything because it's been a weekend. Oh, it's gonna make me do all again. Good gravy. I love you all organization. It's so much fun. I'm not gonna see my school account. Alright, so it'll show up a button probably like this. And you can open the call right in Canvas. It'll open in Microsoft Teams. You can open it in the web browser. But you do have to come to the call. I have put in the, like when you get into the team stuff, I have the whole schedule for the whole day right here. So if it is not available somewhere else, it's right there so you can see it. Okay? And yes, you do have to actually come to the Zoom call. We have to take attendance. That is one of the things they're having us do. So you do have to come all the way into the Teams call. We're gonna review factoring stuff, and then there's an online assignment for tomorrow. So we have plenty of time today. At the end, this was kind of a short one. So if you want to use this time to work on 3.1, 3.2, or 3.3, now is a great time to do so. 3.3, I know I have it written up here as to today, but it said Wednesday on the slide, Friday, so I switched it to Wednesday. So you don't have to turn it in today, but if you're done with it, you can, and I'll grade it and put it in. But we are going to be going through factoring review tomorrow on the Teams call. I will record it and post it, but we are taking attendance, so You are expected to come in. Luckily, I mean, it is a little bit later. It doesn't start until 8. But
I got the bubbly.
just make sure that you are presentable when you get to the video call.